So my name is Jacqueline Hen. I'm a designer and artist currently living in Cologne in Germany. Yes, I'm working in the intersection of design, art and research, and I'm also working as an assistant professor at the Art Academy in Cologne. I think I have always been really interested in experimenting with materials and shapes ever since I was a toddler, I guess. And I studied visual communication, but with a focus on environmental and spatial design at University of the Arts in Berlin and ArtCenter at Los Angeles. Mostly I'm doing large-scale immersive installation where you can walk through, but I'm also doing collaborations with theater for like scenography and with other artists. So one installation I've been working on was Light High, which was awarded with the International Light Art Award. And it was really interesting for me because it was one of the most complex one I built so far because it needs to be like really, really precise. And it's about contingency experience. So it's like a stage situation where you can walk in, and it's an infinity illusion of space, basically. And you also hear like a really loud droning sound, which is an acoustical illusion of an infinite rising or falling sound. And then you also have those moments where it's like pitch dark, so you really lose your sense of space. A recent work I was able to realize is the work Formation of the Sun, which I did for Light Art Grindelwald in Switzerland in October this year. It's a large inflatable, which is 17 by 10 meters approximately, and you can walk inside, and the title refers to the collision theory, which is a theory of how our solar system formed by the collision of two galaxies. And it also refers to the theory of relativity, so how light is bending space. The work which is exhibited here in the gallery refers to the work Light High. So it's like a small version of it, and it also deals with contingency, but then also how our perception of space changes within social media and how we interact with space and light. Yeah, it's also part of the work, like people want to interact and like taking selfies in this kind of vanity situation. I think for me light is not the only medium I'm working with, but it's always like a crucial part of every work. So I'm never working without light, but I'm sometimes working without sound, for example. So it's like always like a really important part of the work. And what I like about light is that it lets you shape the attention span within a space. I think that's really interesting. It's like also like all the impacts it has on your body and like your hormones. And I just think it's really fascinating how space and body and light is connected. Yeah, I think I mean, like when you study it and it's like project-based. So with each project, you learn so much new things, like soldering and like DMX and all this kind of stuff, or like building a pond, which I never did before, but now I know how to build a pond. So yeah, it's like really for each project you learn so much things, and maybe you do like a small thing, and then next time you evolve with the project and you make it like a little bigger. Then you have like first time you have the wrong material, and then you have a better material, and then you find some things like reflection which are interesting, and then you evolve from there. I think inspiration like can strike everywhere. It's more this serendipity moment, I guess, like in everyday life. So it can be like a conversation like we are having now, or it can be like a book I'm reading, or just like a random reflection I see somewhere in the subway, or I don't know, like looking at a bee or something. I don't know. Can be everything. Yeah, like the first light artist I came across with, or like an exhibition I was like really deeply moved with, was Olafur Eliasson in New York, and I think it was MoMA, the exhibition, like the orange light, where all the other colors appear black and white suddenly. I was very young when I saw this one, but this one really got into my mind. And then also I went to James Turrell at Kunstmuseum Wolfsburg, so which was like this really large space. So this was also really inspiring. And then I also really like the work of Hans Opdebeck, for example. He's not specifically light artist, but he comes from theater, and he's like really working on the dramatics within a space with light and telling stories. So that's a hard question, but I think it's like always when you finish the work and it's like a big one where everything needs to function like architectural wise, and then it's also the complexity of electricity and like water and like everything coming together. So I feel for me the work for Light High, for example, because it was like the most complex one, and it needs to be like super precise when building it, and you also need to coordinate a lot of people in order to get everything done. So this is quite how do you say it, like intense building everything. Yeah, I think there are a lot of ups and downs, and it also like depends like with which kind of institution you're working, and then there are like always problems along the way which you couldn't imagine before. And then at the same time, you're learning so much with each project, but also it's like there's always a point where something goes like super wrong. But like failure is never an option, so you just find ways to maybe like the whole thing is changing, but it's just like but it's often like a lot of stress on the body. Yeah, and then it's so great to see like the reaction of the people exploring the spaces. So that gives you so much energy back, I guess. Yes, I think my biggest challenges are fighting bureaucracy and gravity, I guess. Yeah, I feel like where should I even start? So, like, thank you for your work. It's really important. It's great. I don't know, like there's a lot you could talk about, but like for personal experience, like during this year, for example, I often have like this more like subtle moments where I have the feeling I'm not being taken seriously as a woman, especially when you work like with larger scale installations. Yeah, and sometimes it's really getting on my nerves, so I'm like getting angry, but it's just like really subtle, just like when you won't believe how often I'm getting asked like who's doing the electricity for me, like soldering or like moving the 5 meter large mirrors, and or just like when building up an installation and there's like a male with me, which is maybe like an assistant, then other people are just like coming and assuming that he is the responsible person just because he is the male in the space. So this happens a lot. And there are plenty of other stories I could tell, but I would say just don't try to fix some boxes, and just like try to follow what you're curious about and explore what you're curious about.